Welcome back to Trots TV on the Harness Media Centre. We're going to have a look at the on trial today, the three triallers that I've found from across the state, and hopefully we can find a winner or two. We're going to start at the Newcastle trials last Wednesday. This was trial number one, and super impressive was I'm a Grumpy Possum. Now, we haven't seen I'm a Grumpy Possum for a little while. She went round in a Menangle Country final and she did things wrong. She was a short price favourite there, but she got the start wrong. She galloped out, and Mark Callaghan has taken her back to the trials. But this performance would suggest that when she's back at the races, make sure you have something on, because she couldn't have been more impressive. Now, in the early stages of the trial, she goes straight in behind the leader, Soyan Wasabi. Soyan Wasabi is a horse that's been performing very well in higher grade races at Newcastle, and has also had some success at Menangle in the past. But I'm a Grumpy Possum straight in behind the leader, and that's where she sits for the majority of the trip. She wants to over race just a fraction, but nothing too serious, and Mark Callaghan's got a firm hold of her. Now, down the back straight, there's a few moves around her. That doesn't seem to worry her too much. And as they turn into the straight, she gets the opportunity to come to the outside of Soyan Wasabi. And when she lets down, she really picks up that horse quite quickly. It's a very impressive performance. The last 200 metres is quite quick. The overall time was very good. She went 156.8, but the quarters themselves, 29.4, 31.8, 28.1 and 28 seconds neat. So she's got home very quickly, and I do like the way she hit the line, coiled up. She really wanted to explode. She's a C3R4. So she's only still lightly assessed. If you can forget that run at Menangle last time out and go on what she'd done prior to that with the 3 wins at a previous 4, I think she's worth following. Obviously, the Mark Callaghan stable's having a very good run at the moment, so that's a little bit. The horse will be short when it does go around, but I do think we can follow that horse. I'm a Grumpy Possum. So that's the trialer out of Newcastle from Wednesday the 8th. Let's have a look at the Bathurst trials on Tuesday. With the public holiday, they trialled on Tuesday there, and this is trial number 2. A horse by the name of Little Mojo. Now, we haven't seen Little Mojo as a 3-year-old. The horse had 5 starts as a 2-year-old, won a couple of those, and looked to have its fair share of ability, trained by John O'Shea. And I like this trial performance. Now, in the early stages of the trial, there's a lot of speed. Little Mojo is part of that early speed, but then John O'Shea grabs hold and drops the horse straight in behind the leader, and he looks as though he's going to get a beautiful run throughout. However, by the time they get round to the post, the leader lets another one go, so all of a sudden Little Mojo is 3 back on the marker pegs, and is going to need a lot of luck. As they race down the back straight, all of a sudden a gap starts to open up off the inside, and John O'Shea can push away from the inside. Little Mojo gets to the 3 wide position very quickly, and then is able to track one around the turn. And, once it gets into the open, John O'Shea asks him to extend. He does enough. He's driven out to the line, not in terms of using the stick on the horse. I think it's more of hitting the shaft of the gig, and the horse responds to that and gets there narrowly. It's a good performance. It's still only a 3CO, so I'm sure there's a couple of week 3-year-old maidens going around in the next couple of weeks that John O'Shea can pick out for this horse. But I definitely think Little Mojo is one worth following. Overall, the time was 26.6, which gives them a mile rate of 157.7, quarters of 29.1, 29.4, 29.6 and 30 seconds neat. So the horse obviously made ground from leader to winner in the final 400 metres. So I think there's enough ability there to suggest that Little Mojo can go on and win its 3-year-olds, no doubt about that, after winning a couple as a 2-year-old as well. So that's trial number 2 from Bathurst on Tuesday night. And I want to show you a trial at Menangle on Tuesday afternoon. This came as a bit of a shock. Fly Like an Eagle back at the races. He spent last season at stud, served 80 mares, thereabouts, but Connections spoke with Darren Hancock about putting the horse back into work. Darren said no problems at all, and just having a good chat with Darren about the horse. He's been very good. He's gone straight back into work without too many hassles. He's, obviously having served some mares, you could expect that he'd be pretty flighty around the stable, but Darren said he's quite a gentleman, quite calm and relaxed. You don't hear from him, which is all good pointing towards a racetrack return, and if we go on this trial performance, he's going to be very competitive when he does get back to the races. Darren Hancock drove him aggressively at the start. He landed straight in front, and from there it was just a case of Darren getting him around safely. The horse was able to back off. They ran a pretty slow second quarter of 30.2. He didn't pull, and then Darren asked him to really fire up from the 800 metre mark, and he's got home in just a tick over 55 seconds. These are the sorts of times he's going to have to be competing and running, because he's a horse that won the Breeders' Crown as a 3-year-old. He's also competed in some very strong races in Australia, along with back home in New Zealand. We haven't seen him since the 7th of December 2014. He ran 8th in a race in New Zealand behind Mossdale Connor. But this trial suggests that he's ready to go. Quarters, 28 seconds, 30.2, 28.2, 27.2, and it gives the Son of Mac 3 an overall time and mile rate of 153.6. So that was Fly Like an Eagle doing its thing at the trials on Tuesday afternoon. So the 3 horses going on trial. We've got I'm a Grumpy Possum for Mark Callaghan at Newcastle. We've got Little Mojo for John O'Shea out of the Bathurst trials, and Fly Like an Eagle for Darren Hancock at Menangle. That's on trial this week. Back again next week to do it all again.